of exactly what you need and what timeline you're looking to do. So you're flipping it on them because as a creative, I've noticed this so much is a lot of times you can leave an absolute ton of money on the table because you were the first one to come forward and say, this is my rate. And maybe it's, maybe your normal rate's 20 bucks an hour or something. It's like, or 50. And this person was willing to pay up to 200 bucks an hour. But because you made the first move as a creative, you will never know how much you just left on that table in that process because you were the first one to speak through it. So what I usually try and do is flip that on them as simply and efficiently as I can, and message it more of like, I want to understand your timeline to help you more, because then not only are you adding them value, but you're also adding yourself value because you may have left so much money in that within that budget that you could have been paid to do the work that you should be paid to do in the first place. So that's kind of where I put in parentheses there, like the more you can be a partner in that process, the better, because it's not only helping you, it's helping them. And that's when a lot of these creative processes and work become fantastic, when you're partners, not one person telling the other person what to do throughout the whole thing. More questions. So the other thing that I'll usually try and do that's usually kind of a fallback here is asking people to describe the feeling of what they're after. A lot of times in these scopes, they will list out certain things that they need, and they're more deliverables and specific and kind of like technology related things, or like, final deliverables that they want. And what I think can get lost in that process is the fact that you're really trying to get somebody to feel something at the end of the day through a lot of this creative work. And from my perspective, all of the work that I've done that's felt like it was more fluid on my end, and as I'm communicating it to a client, has come from this specific question. So what I'll usually do is say something like, before we even get into everything that you need and all this other nitty gritty, can you give me 3 to 5 words of descriptive words that you would use to describe how you want this project to feel? Because you're almost putting these loose guardrails on yourself and the project up front, so that as you're working through things, whether that's some more of these specific deliverables or tight timelines, you're able to more easily gut check the whole way through of, okay, is this executing on this feeling? And what can also help too is if you're in that project a little too deep, a lot of times you can get too close to it, and so it's hard to give yourself a yes or no answer to that question. It also helps you externalize this easier. So if you're going to a friend or a spouse or even the client and you're presenting some of the stuff, you can say, hey, at the beginning, I know you gave me these 3 to 5 words that is how you want this to feel. Based on what I'm showing you here, does this do that? Yes or no? And it can also help you, because if you're too close, you can get someone else to say, well, this piece